Today I'm excited to speak with Daniel, a copywriter from Tel Aviv, Israel, who is going to tell us about his trip through Spain and his love of cities and how his army service actually prepared him to face hostel dorms. Enjoy! We are back with a new episode for Travels Tete-a-Tete, and today we are back in Ubik in Rusafa neighborhood in Valencia. Today I interview Daniel. Hello Daniel.
Hi.
Daniel, can you introduce yourself please?
Yes, of course. I'm coming from Tel Aviv. I am a linguist / copywriter. I've been traveling through Spain right now. It's only my 4th day, but Valencia is only my 2nd stop right now. Usually when I travel, I don't really do any research. I don't really know what to expect from any of the places that I'm going to visit. But I am going to finish my trip in Madrid, which I did actually visit last summer. And it became actually one of my favorite cities. So that's actually one part that I'm looking forward to. But as for the rest, I don't know, just leaving everything open, leaving my mind open, and hopefully I would be positively impressed.
So when you're traveling to a new country or new place, what interests you the most? The people, the food, historical landmarks, landscape?
I think probably the thing that would interest me the most is the people. Because I believe that, cities were not founded, just on their own. They did not appear out of nowhere. It's the people who had to build them. So the people are actually the ones who are responsible for all the historical sites, the food, the architecture, the entire vibe of the city. So usually when I travel, I mostly try to find the local people and then just sort of discover their ways of life.
Is there a way of life you are aware in Spain that is interesting you? Is there some cliché you want to challenge in Spain?
I think probably, so when I arrived actually in Valencia, I came here at 2 in the afternoon, and that's the beginning of siesta time. So I saw all the shops that were closing, and I was actually meeting with many Spanish people before coming here, and I was asking them so is siesta real? And they told me that usually if you have an office job then no, but if you work at a shop, for instance, then yes. In my previous visit in Spain, in Madrid, and also actually when I was in Barcelona, I didn't see any shops that were closing. So I kind of think Valencia is the first city that I'm actually seeing the true side of Spain.
Can you describe how is Tel Aviv? Because it's one of the most famous city in Israel, right?
Yes, it is. In Israel, you have Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and they could not be more different than each other. Because there's a saying that goes: in Jerusalem we pray, in Tel Aviv we play. And I guess Tel Aviv is it's cosmopolitan, it's multicultural, but still, it's not like, let's say, London or Barcelona or Amsterdam, where it's become way too multinational that the city sort of lost its character. Because it still has its own special vibe. Yeah. That just, when you walk the streets, then you still feel it. That there's something, I don't know, something fun in the air, something that's very loose and that's not, too much on a hurry or under pressure, that it's very chill and, liberal, and people are free to be whoever they want.
So it's still authentic.
Yeah, it's still authentic.
Are there a lot of digital nomads also coming to Tel Aviv?
Not that I met too much. Because, Tel Aviv might be one of the more famous spots in Israel, but internationally, I don't know. I don't think it's still too well known. And also, I do know that some people are afraid to come because of the cost of living. Because the city is super expensive. So especially if you live as a digital nomad, usually not everyone can handle the prices.
Okay, on this point, it's definitely a bit like Valencia nowadays. The cost of living has gone up quite a lot. The rents are through the roof. In most part, because of its success with digital nomads. And I was wondering, since you say that it's the people who make a city, who make really a place what it is. I wonder sometimes what digital nomads can bring to a city, because they didn't came here to create the city, but they come here to enjoy it. And I wonder do you think there is something they bring to a city when many cosmopolitan people, affluent people came here to a city to live in?
I think that, when you start seeing an influx of people who are like-minded as you, it kind of makes you want to, follow their trail. And, even though digital nomads, they don't stay for long in each place, they still, bring a trail of other like-minded people after them. And so probably this also, I don't know, it might help build a culture that is more adjusted to people who are, not looking for a long residency.
Coming back to travels, where have you traveled in the world?
Mostly I travel in Europe, because first it's closer to where I live, and also because it's the part of the world that I'm more interested in. But I did also travel when I was younger to the US East Coast, and a little bit through Egypt and Turkey. But now I found that I prefer to travel in cities, because I'm interested in also European cities. A lot of them, they have let's say a long-lasting culture that in some of them hasn't been changed for too long, but still it does have a touch of modernity to it. Especially, let's say, for example, I was traveling in Sweden 4 years ago. I was in the 3 biggest cities. And even though, let's say, for example, in Stockholm, there were a lot of historical buildings and a lot of the stories behind each of them, the city still felt like it was really moving forward, with the people. Because, for example, there are a lot of places that don't accept cash. They want to basically eliminate cash altogether in Sweden. And even the homeless people, for example, they have in Sweden they have an app called Swish for transferring money. So even homeless people have that app.
And where was your first travel? When the first time you went out of Israel, where was it?
Well, the first time was when I was 5 years old. So I was just traveling with my family to Egypt, to Sinai. It's really popular with Israelis. But we were just staying at a resort. So when I was younger, I would always travel with my family, obviously. But then these trips wouldn't be as much interesting, because we were just tourists. We're just looking to see all the regular sites. And I think it wasn't actually until I started traveling alone that I discovered, let's say, the value of actually exploring the place and meeting the people.
Tell me more about Sinai. So it's very popular with Israeli tourists, but I guess there's very nice sites there, mostly landscapes and the sea.
Well, it's not really about landscapes. It's mostly about having renting a cabin on the beach and just laying down, doing nothing for a week, possibly going swimming or diving, smoking joints all day long.
Wait, you can smoke joints legally in Sinai, or is it? How do you get that?
No, I don't think it's legal, but everyone, weed is still illegal in many other parts of the world, so I guess everyone just has their own go-to person to get weed.
And when you travel abroad, how do you organize yourself for the trip to meet people or to know what to visit?
Well, I use Couchsurfing. That's how I meet up with people. I sometimes, only when I travel alone, then I try to find a host that will have me over at their place. Usually I prefer to stay with the people that I can find that we have certain similarities, or that they have something that they can teach me, sort of that I have a value from them, and then I try to see if I can have a value for them, as in something that I can, teach them, whether it's something about my country or some of my knowledge that I've accumulated over the years, either whether it's from my studies, my job, or just my general knowledge.
What is your value for your guests when you do couchsurfing?
Well, first of all, yeah, cooking is a great way to bring a value, especially, when you cook something that's from your own country and that the people usually haven't heard about it. Also, just having, conversations with each other, like deep conversations about past experiences and, let's say, a person's own perspective on life and, like even political matters. It helps you sort of, let's say, evolve your own perspective, because then you get to see the world from another side that you're not used to. Like it's very eye-opening.
So speaking about that, what is not enough well known about Israel that you try to teach to your guest or host all the time?
I think most of the people that come to Israel, they come to see history and the religious sites, but there are so many things about modern Israel that people don't know. First of all, it's a very multicultural place because first of all, you have the Jewish population over there, which around 90% of them are either immigrants or descendant of immigrants, and everyone, they came from a different part of the world. So we have people that come from like Central and Eastern Europe, like Germany, Poland, Russia. Like, for example, my heritage is German, Polish, Jewish, and you have people who came from like the Balkans, North Africa, the Middle East, Iran, even some parts of Africa and South America. So it's a huge tapestry of different cultures that everyone contributed to the, let's say, the overall vibe of the country. And yeah, they all just sort of mixed well together to create something new. It kind of reminds me of, for example, the name of Tel Aviv. It's a combination of two words. That Tel means hill, but more in an archaeological sense. Okay. That it's a hill that has several archaeological layers lying down underneath it. Okay. And the second word is Aviv, which means spring, which is a time of renewal, of rebirth. So it's a combination of old and new. So that's something you can see in so many places around the country. Even in, let's say, Jerusalem, which is much more historical than Tel Aviv, you can still see some modernity within the city.
What is your biggest cultural shock when you arrive in Europe? I know it's not your first time in Europe and you are very closely linked with Europe. When you travel to Sweden, Spain, or Germany, what is the thing which you think, oh yeah, here I am in Europe?
Well, Europe itself is also very diverse. For example, I think when I was in Sweden for the first time, and it's actually the same thing that I felt when I was in the Netherlands, the people are very calm. Rather in Israel and, let's say, other countries in around the Mediterranean, people are much more warm. A lot of people
expressive and
expressive. Like people talk with each other on the streets rather than, let's say, in Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands. No, they don't even look at their mobile. They just walk straight forward, eyes looking ahead all the time. If you just try and start a conversation with someone on the street, like, they look at you weird. In Israel and other Mediterranean countries, it's pretty normal, and like people are very outgoing, even during the winter season. Yeah, in colder countries, they just, I don't want to say self-centered, because I don't think it's true, because like in Sweden, I know that, and in Denmark also, they have a very, let's say, social awareness. Yeah. So they try to make everything convenient for everyone, but just not as long as they have to look at them.
So apart from Couchsurfing, what other apps, website, or social media are essentials for you when during your travels?
Well, actually, when I travel, I only use Couchsurfing, but in Tel Aviv, I sometimes use the Meetup app, but it's not really for social gatherings. It's more for professional gatherings. That's anyway the type of events that they have in Tel Aviv.
And would you be okay when traveling to just leave your phone and Google Maps at home and wandering the streets, or is it as well necessary for you to always know where you are and in which direction you're going?
I would actually not be okay with leaving my phone, because that's where all my information is, and I always need to be aware of exactly where I am, and also through the phone is how I schedule to meet people, because even though as I said earlier that sometimes you can just talk to some people on the street, then usually it's for just one sentence, to I don't know, say nice weather or something like that. So usually in these contexts you can't really form a friendship with someone unless you're at a bar, and then everyone's had some alcohol and they're much more loose, and then they can start talking to each other.
Last night me and Daniel, we joined a Couchsurfing event in a bar where there were a lot of board games, so we played with some games with some people. Did you play board games before in Israel, or is it something you do usually to meet up people?
Well, there isn't really a very big board game culture in Israel, because at least in Tel Aviv, because usually the people, they move to the city already with their friends from home, so almost no one really moves alone by themselves, so everyone already has their well-formed group of friends. I don't think that you need to have, let's say, some sort of activity in order to actually meet friends. For example, I was traveling in Portugal around Christmas time, and I was staying at childhood friends of mine who's now living in Porto, and he on my first day he took me to his local bar, and I just met his friends, all his friends, and so I made a really good connection with one of them, was Portuguese from Gaia, which is right across the river from Porto, and we still stay in touch. And she actually visited Tel Aviv a few months ago, and she was staying at my place. So you don't need to. Well, I don't think that you necessarily have to, let's say, have a theme around a meetup in order to make friends. Just as long as you keep an open mind and let's say a will to know more, not just people, but just know more things about the world.
So you're hosting a lot of people actually in Tel Aviv. What is the secret for someone on Couchsurfing to get a couch from you?
First of all, they have to have an interesting backstory, because so I'm a copywriter, and I deal a lot with storytelling, but I just do it for marketing purposes, to sell stuff. But still, I need to get inspired by something or someone, and listening to people is always something that can give you it's the best source of inspiration there is. Right now, for example, I can say that I work 9 to 6 in an office where I am just enclosed all day. I only have my colleagues that I can brainstorm off of, we ping pong ideas, and the internet, we already know each other, so there isn't really anything brand new that we can bring to the table. So if I really want to get, let's say, a more fresh perspective, then I love to meet people, well, also from around the world, which, every person, every country, basically, the people there have their own, let's say, line of thought. And like every person has different experiences as well, which also contribute to their character. And yeah, just when I meet them, then well, first of all, I also show them around my city, because like that's what they came for. I also try to listen to them, because Couchsurfing, it's a mutual thing. Like both sides are supposed to, let's say, gain something out of this transaction.
All right, and after Valencia, what's the story for you? What is on your plans after Valencia?
I'm going all over the Spanish Mediterranean coast. So from Valencia, I'm going to go to Alicante to just enjoy the beach for the weekend. Just have a calm time and just rest myself from all the walking that I did. Then I'm going to go over to Andalusia, Granada, Malaga, and Sevilla. In Malaga, I'm also going to go over to the beach to rest a bit from all the climbing I heard that you have to do in Granada.
Yes, Granada has a lot of hills and it's not flat like Valencia, indeed.
Yeah, and after Sevilla, I'm gonna go back to one of my favorites, which is Madrid.
What's so great about Madrid? What do you like so much?
The vibe there. It's amazing. A lot of people usually, when you have two big cities in every country, it's very easy to compare between the two. So like in Israel, you have Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Like in Italy, you have Rome and Milan. So in Spain, you have Barcelona and Madrid. And Barcelona is very touristy. There's just tourists everywhere, and the locals, like, they cannot stand all the amount of tourists that they receive every year, because they really suffer from it. It makes everything more expensive. And let's say with Airbnb right now, people they're actually taking a lot of free apartment space, and they're really trying to combat this right now. So let's say at sometimes in Barcelona, I kind of felt unwelcome. Like I even saw when I was walking in the Parque Güell, I saw this graffiti. It says "Tourists go home." Yeah. So I thought to myself, but I'm not a tourist. I'm a traveler. But still, it also felt like people were like out there to get my money in some way, whether it was pickpocketing or trying to scam me with something they wanted to sell me on the streets. And in Madrid, you don't get that. Well, I at least don't. It feels, first of all, a lot safer. It feels more authentic. Even though Madrid also, it has a lot of tourists. But still, with Barcelona, it kind of feels like the city lost its spirit, lost its original character. And Madrid still somehow has managed to retain it. But I think also it really helped on my last visit in Madrid that I have a really good friend who lives there, and she was living in Tel Aviv for a few months, and the entire time she was in Tel Aviv, then she would say how great the city is, and also like comparing between the two cities, and she saw the city out very well. So actually, when I was going there, I had some high expectations, and luckily enough, all these they were answered. And she also showed me a lot of places that she didn't mention. Like, for example, there's a neighborhood called Las Letras, which has a lot of quotes from famous literature, from Spanish literature, on the sidewalks and on the walls.
All right. After Spain, you come back to Tel Aviv, and actually, do you have a dream destination in your mind? Do you have a destination which you are saving for the right moment?
Well, I don't really have anything right now that's like on the top of my list, but there are some places that I know that I want to visit. Like, so for example, actually, before coming to Spain, I had two options that I made for myself. So the first one is the trip that I'm doing right now, and the second one was to go through Central Europe, start in Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, and Czechia. So adding 4 new countries to the places that visited. But eventually, one of my preferences was better weather. So this is also why I came here to Spain.
And what was interesting? What is interesting so much for you about these countries? Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic.
Usually, before I travel, I don't do any research at all. Like I mostly base my will to travel to places according to what I heard from people in the past. So that I know, for example, other capital cities in Central Europe, like they're very. People say they're very vibrant and there's a lot of life around, which is something that I like. I always lived in a city, so I'm always used to having noise around me. Like I cannot go to sleep in complete silence. Like I need to have the TV around or like the window open and like hear the people down, on the street. Like even where I live right now, I live like right above one of the popular bar streets in Tel Aviv. And so there's always some sort of a commotion around. And I don't know, I feel like my mind needs to be stimulated at all times.
Yeah. So when you go to a hostel, if you travel and you go to a hostel, you have no problem sleeping in a dorm.
No. Well, first of all, I am from Israel, so I did my 3 years of military service. So I did spend 3 years sleeping with at least 5 other people in the same room, which actually was even smaller than dorm rooms in hostels. And even worse conditions. I am 32 right now. I think I'm kind of past that time where I just don't care enough about my privacy, because right now, I still need my alone time.
Yeah. So speaking of the military service, because this is something we don't have anymore in France, but which is still compulsory in Israel, did it give you some skills at the time of traveling?
Yes, because in the military, that's actually the first time ever in your life, unless you had, let's say, some other unfortunate circumstances, that you are completely alone by yourself, and you have to rely either on yourself or your, let's say, comrades. It does help you grow up a lot as a person, and to let's say make your decision-making process a lot more efficient, and I think just overall better. Let's say a lot of Israelis, after they finish their military service, they travel to far-off distances with I think the most popular 3 are South America, India, and Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Vietnam.
So it's a way for them to blow some steam off, just to forget these 3 years of service.
Yeah, to clear their head, to find out whatever they which direction they want to take their life towards. And I didn't do such a trip because, as I said, I'm mostly interested in Europe. But still, Europe is also it's a great place to travel alone to, because you have a lot of good infrastructure to do that. But some of the things that I heard from other people when they were traveling to these far destinations is that when they were staying with people from other countries, they were making some poorer decisions. Let's say more questionable things, going to more sketchy areas, or not looking too much over their stuff, and just basically being reckless.
Which is even weirder, because as an Israeli, how tough it is to be traveling sometimes. It is something which is on your mind when you are traveling to other countries. Do you have to be careful?
I think, not just in Israel you have to be careful. Just in general, you have to be careful, because you're going somewhere that you're not always familiar with. The mentality can be different, especially when you go to a place where the culture is super different than yours. I mean, there is, as an Israeli, the factor that there's sort of a mindset, like a general mindset in Israel that like people are out there to get us, sort of a paranoia. But through the use of Couchsurfing, I actually found out that, it's not true, and that like most people, well, either they don't care about Israel, or like they don't have an opinion, and that they actually want to learn, if they don't have like too much knowledge over what's going on in the country, and they just want to see another perspective,
to go beyond the narrative which we are served all the time. And
exactly. I think like first and foremost, like I'm not Israeli, I'm Daniel. I represent something much more deep, much deeper than just the place I come from.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for all these insights into your travels and your life.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. You can find more information in the note of the episode. Feel free to share, like, or comment on your favorite podcast platform and on our Instagram page. See you soon for a new interview with a new traveler.